Hi there everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pillars of Eternity. Today I am going to try and finish the Grieving Mother's quest. Then we are going to go to Cragholdt Bluffs. And then we are going to finish Pillars of Eternity.
Back to warm your hands, eh? Top quality bear.
So, for the Grieving Mother, you need
Back
to
to
rest
warm your hands, eh? Top
3
quality bear.
times to activate the next
Back to warm your hands, eh?
quest.
Top quality bear.
You find yourself back in the space inside the Grieving Mother's mind. It is familiar this time, and even though you feel you have seen countless birds from this vantage point, something fills you with unease. The sky has darkened and the mist has risen from the forest to hem you. You are trapped. You hear something. The sound is strange, dissonant like warping metal. You grit your teeth against the noise, and yet as it rises, the eerie melody drives the numbness from your limbs and clears the space in the mist. Focus on the chimes. The noise resolves into a dull tone as it resounds through your bones. You see that your hands are in motion, and once again you are drawing forth something warm and fragile, struggling into the world. The scene feels familiar, and you have lived and dreamed 1,000 times before, and yet something ominous gnaws at the edge. Focus on the woman's cries, focus on the child and the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear and sharp, yet somehow distant. They seem echoed by something else, wails of sorrow, twirling bells. It's impossible to tell. Draw forth the child. An inexplicable sense of dread fills your soul as a child makes its journey to you. Push by push, the malicious presence seems to surround you, and you lean forward to shield the child. At least the baby emerges, wet and ruddy from the journey. A lifetime seems to have passed as the newborn moved from the womb into the world, and another seems to pass as you cradle the trembling child, waiting. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the chimes echoing and its thoughts filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges as you are viewing a soul from within, but it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the dull clangor sounds, and you feel the weight hanging from your wrist. You look down to see the bones, tiny and malformed, hanging from the string about your wrists. They're heavier than they should be, and they are clanged together. They make a noise like funeral bells. The mother is too intent upon the newborn to pay you any heed, and so you hide your wrist behind your back. She needs never know, can't ever know. As you hide the bone chimes, you shiver in relief with premonition at the chill wind that suddenly sweeps the plateau. Wake up.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
I walked again, you met this time. I felt strange, so I wanted to see them again. I wanted to know more about that. Can you tell me about the birthing gum? Your vision gives way to the waves of feeling, while you feel the jagged marks of violence you passed before the first time. This time the path is easier, there is no resistance, and you set about casually harnessing your memories, focusing on one you seek. There is a slow rush of warmth, and your thoughts enter as before, circling the memory you shared when you first met. You find yourself back in the space inside the Grieving Mother's mind, and it's familiar time, and even though you feel you have seen countless birds from this vantage point, something fills you with unease. Oh, this woman's quest. The sky has darkened, and the mist has risen from the forest to hem you. You're trapped. You hear something, the sound of strange dissonant like warping metal. You grit your teeth against the noise, yet as it rises, the eerie melody drives numbness from your limbs and clears the space in mist. The noise resolves into a dull tone. It resounds through the bones. You see that your hands are in motion. And once again, you are drawing forth life, something warm and fragile struggling into the world. The scene seems familiar, a moment you have lived and dreamed 1,000 times before, and yet something ominous gnaws at your edge. Focus on the woman. The woman should be in pain, and the natural pain of childbirth. You know this, but it is faint, distant, and you realize that you're soothing the pain with your mind, smoothing out the eddies of pain and relaxing her thoughts just enough so that she can still push from within, push the child forth. You are taking the pain onto yourself, but the pain has layers. One is a pressure, a familiar, welcoming pain, and the other, it is a sharper, a razor edge of consciousness, more recent than the others, of the memories. And as you try to recall how you've reached this place, you feel the same hollowness inside yourself, a pit filled with the clawing winds of a baobab. The very thought fills you with the squint, disquiet, like the memory of a nightmare. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear and sharp, yet somewhat distant. They seem to echo by something else, wails of sorrow, tolling bells. It's impossible to tell. Draw the child forth. An inexpressible sense of dread fills your soul as the child makes its journey to you. Push by push, the malicious presence seems to surround you, and you lean forward to shield the child. At last, the baby emerges, wet and ruddy. From the journey, a lifetime seems to have passed as a newborn moved from the womb to world, and another seems to pass as you cradle the trembling child, waiting. The child cries out, "Okay, we've done this." You look down to see bones. Yes. Yes. I walked again in your dreams, thoughts, and unbelieved your memories.
And what did you see in my memories? I would hear you speak of them.
I have a question, sir. What's that you're wearing on your wrists? She extends her hands, and the small chimes on her wrist sound at the motion just as they sounded in her memories. The chimes are finely crafted of white adra. They are wrapped around the grieving mother's wrist with tiny woven braids of hair of different colors, from white to black, brown to blonde. You feel as if you're noticing them for the first time. If the birthing chimes were given to newborns, why do you have a set now?
There is no child to carry it.
And suddenly there is a rasping cry across your consciousness, and you see her flinch visibly, as if struck. She raises her hands, and you see the chimes drive from them. Yet they make no sound as she moves. In your memory, they looked like bones.
And carry the weight of 100 deaths. I know, Watcher.
This is about the hollowborn, isn't it?
The hollowborn.
The same chill you felt before is stronger now, as if it's welling up around your feet to your ankles. You feel a sudden urge to draw away, as if from an unpleasant memory.
The hollowborn have a future. They can be saved, and the tells spoke of such.
You don't know if that's true, or if they can be even saved. Your tales are lies. How would you know? Have you seen the future?
They can be saved. They must be saved. You have seen the beauty in childbirth. What good came into the world there on the plateau. You helped me recall it. It is a memory we shared. It is the truth.
In the memory you hit the chimes on your wrist from the mother. Why? It is not what I hid, but what she saw. She couldn't know. The grieving mother squeezes her eyes shut and brings a hand. You've woven the truth for countless mouths. How can I trust what you tell me? Truth is shaped by belief, by choice. It coaxed from chaos like a child from the womb. No more equivocation. What really happened at the birthing bell?
And what would you consider real, Watcher? The truth that was experienced and remembered? Or the one that burned out only to be swept under the rug and forgotten like ash from a fireplace?
What happened mattered. Forgetting it doesn't make it less real.
And how much of your own life has been lost to the error of memory? How many loves and betrayals were colored with the false hues of emotion? A pity to wonder how much of your own life happened the way you recall.
Can you tell me about the birthing bell?
The birthing bell. It is where I could draw new souls into the world. I recall some of the memory of it through what you have seen, but not all.
What did you do when the hollowborn came?
The curse.
There is a slight chill between the two of you, a current of emotion. The next thought comes slowly, almost frightened into your mind, like terrified children blanketed with a mother's fear.
You speak of the curse that fell upon the children. This curse that has fallen on this country.
She lowers her head. Something seems to surround you, a mist heavy and thick. As a grieving mother looks inward, it closes in, threatening to choke you. Finally, she raises her gaze, and the mist retreats. I know only that it is a scourge upon every hearth in the Deerwood, and one that threatens to tear this country asunder. Where is the birthing bell located? The birthing bell lies deep in the great forest of the Deerwood, at the borders of Glenfarth and Leeds surrounding it. Barely a town, not one you would find on any map, but it held an important place for those there, even if we were far from the beaten track. Small families died like a knot, joined at the wrist in mind and thought. All were welcomed, all had purpose. Let's continue our journey. Okay.
Back to warm your hands, eh? Top quality bear pelt. Back to warm your hands. Top quality bear.
The morning is cold and silent. You are upon the plateau of the birthing bell, and there is no ground, no wind. The sky is smooth, watered, grey. The forest beneath the plateau, nothing more than jagged black silhouette. Even the rock, the ardor around you, it feels colder, and the sun warmth bled from it. Against the cold backdrop of the sky, you see the great birthing bell hanging from this arch of ardra. Its surface is tarnished, and the shadows inside the bell are dark. Still, it seems to press down upon you, or simply sadly watching, as if standing above a grave formed from the table of the plateau and the remains of the mother's womb that now covers its surface. And there is something heavy in your hands. It breathes, gurgling, slick and wet, yet that is all it is. You find yourself filled with fear. You don't want to look at what you are holding. You don't want to touch it with your mind, and it is all you can do not to cast it from you. Examine what lies in your hands. The mass before you is vacant, flesh in the shape of a newborn, bubbles of saliva bunch at its mouth, expelled by its steady gargling breast. Its arms, legs are lolling limp. No thought, no struggle, no desire to cry in protest of pain. There is nothing from within. There is an absence in your hands. Your hands tremble, shake, and the silence is broken as the chimes on your wrist echo with a trembling, and the chimes do not echo in the thoughts of the mass in your hands. There is no soul within it to hear it. Reach out with your thoughts. The only emotion blanketing the plateau are the pain of the mother. The child breathes, its heart beats, but it makes no cry. The child feels light, empty. There is no joy in it, no fear, no thoughts at all. It in the hollows inside it, it breathes a thing of habit, not life. You cannot move. Your trembling has subsided, and the birthing chimes on your wrists are still as the child. The mother is crying, eager to see, begging to see the child. You feel the sudden spike of fear of being hunted. If you give the child to the mother, you will be blamed, and her anguish and rage shall fall upon you. She will not spare you or anyone you love. Of this you are certain. But you did not cause this. You don't think you caused it. And the mother begs, her arms outstretched, hand to the child. The chime sounds once more as you give the child to its mother. And as the chimes fades, there is the eager gleam, the welling joy at the question, and you draw upon it deeply, letting the hope stream into her eyes, letting her ears fill with the cries that you have heard countless times past from the other children on the bell. You hear the laughter in the mother's voice and streams of tears that run down her face, and with a practical motion you weave a life that will never be into her eyes and thoughts. She will care for the child as if it were whole until you set her free. She will care for it until you find a way to heal what has happened, until the reality cannot be dispelled anymore. And still cradled beneath the weeping woman that birthed it, the child in her arms does not hear the cries of the mother, does not react. It is an empty thing that breathes and carries nothing within it. and the chimes on your wrist lie still. They are bound to you like chains, never to sound inside a newborn's mind ever again. Wake up.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
I had questions for him. I saw hollowborn at the birthing bell. The grieving mother's head bows, and she raises her hands, grating them slowly so the chimes do not sound as she moves them. You feel a chill in the air, as if the vault of your mind is growing too large for the thoughts within, and your breath is laced with chill. To your horror, you feel her breathing ragged, hacking but strangely steady, and you can see saliva bunching at the corners of her lips, becoming thick ropes of drool that cast themselves down her child. There is a smell of blood in the air, a new wet and a salt sharp tang in your mind, coupled with this is a smell of sodden undergarments clawing at the senses. Take her shoulder and try to steady her. Stepping forward, your hand falls on her shoulder, and then you feel her begin to fall, rigid as a falling stone, and you place your other hand on her shoulder to steady her. Throughout there is the horrid steady breathing. Her clothes are wet, it as if she was been burning with fever beneath her tangled hair and beneath her threadbare robes, as if she is giving birth. With a slow hissing intake of breath, her head rolls back on her shoulders, her eyes pressed tightly together like the lids of a newborn, yet past the lids. You can feel the piercing stare, vacant, cold, horribly. You sense nothing from her, not a thought, like the hollowborn you held in the memory. You know if you try to pull away now, she will vanish into herself and vanish from your thoughts, perhaps forever. And you have a terrible feeling that whatever connects the two of you will be cut. She is helpless before you as a child, and you search your thoughts for a way to coax her into perception. Imagine the cries of a newborn from the first memory you met. She jerks slightly before you, and her head tilts, and then steady breathing breaks, and she gives a racking cry.
I thought it was my doing. I thought that I had stilled it with my thoughts. The child. It was just a child. What was done with it?
I do not know. I think you helped give birth to the child, then gave it to the mother. Her breathing is steady again, but there is a life in it where there was not one before, and her emotions are building in her. Apprehension, confusion welling up. She seems afraid to do more than simply be aware of the memory.
It was not the last hollowborn on the birthing bell, and never again did I hear a child's cry.
You have found a death within me, one that many women have before, born within them. The words swirl with impulses and weight spiraling around her, and you feel as if you are being dragged into it. I sought to serve women in need, and instead my hands ushered in a new life. What happened next, I bear the responsibility for. What happened
The first birth was the deepest, the saddest. Nothing I could do could find the child's spirit, guide it to him.
I couldn't understand what happened. What I might have done, I feared. I know. I could not dwell on that thought. The child was always there, always a reminder of what had happened, a marker. I made her care for it. I made them all care for it, until I could find what had gone wrong. I made her care for it.
It was worse. I made her think it was whole, and then more births came to the bell, all as before, and many were the minds I had to change, a circle of...
A circle of empty children, the parents' eyes burning bright. But the hollowborn, it wasn't your doing, it happened elsewhere.
Little word of the outside world reached us. It was enough time for rage and pain and grief to guide hands. I feared what would happen to the children, what would happen to me. Every mother knows her womb may shed a stillborn, but these cold, soulless creatures, the parents wouldn't have understood, and fear of the unknown breeds violence.
What happened
I
then?
held their minds within mine. I shaped and guided them as long as I could. And with each passing day, each new birth, the strain grew. And the more I felt my control slipping, the more I focused my thoughts. Eventually, even I succumbed to the power of my own illusion. I'd woven the threads so tightly that I could no longer see through them.
And then one morning I heard funeral bells tolling in the village. The sounds of wailing rose through the mist. A mother had died, her mind so focused on the care of the hollowborn child that she'd neglected even to feed herself. And with that, the illusion broke. The townsfolk saw their hollowborn the way they were, not the way I'd wished them to see. By the end of the day, they began to look at me differently too. I did not understand what had happened, but I knew enough to flee, and every suspicion that surfaced, every faded memory of what I'd done, I pressed it down, tucked it away. She feels cold, Richard. My skill failed me, but I did what was necessary. I regret the mother's death, but how much worse would it have been had I not acted? I understand you had to defend yourself.
Yes. And yet, was the mother not also innocent? Did she not also deserve my protection? I feel the purity of my reasons, and yet little satisfaction for what I've done.
The right thing is not always easy, and yet we can redeem the lost children for the dear good. Our struggle will be worth it. Grieving mother's mind is silent and still for several moments. She lets your words wash over her, seeping into the cracks in her own thoughts.
My actions only caused more misery. Worse, I took from an entire village, made them as empty and helpless as the children I sought to protect. But you feel it was right to hold and direct their minds, even knowing the cost?
You did not know the cost.
A tapestry woven thread by thread, never seeing the pattern. So it is with the thoughts and dreams that move us, that shape our reality. Your words have soothed my mind, in ways I did not expect. I thank you, Watcher, for the gift of your sight, for using it to guide me out of the prison of my mind. Let us hope it can also free you from the illusions Theos has woven around you.
Back to warm your hands, you top quality bear.
Almost a whole episode dedicated to
Back
this.
to warm your hands,
Yacht.
eh? What can I do? Top quality bear.
As you enter the grieving mother, you find her already at your side. A question rises to the surface of her mind like a bubble from the depths, yet her eyes are cast
There
out.
is something I would ask of you, Watcher. A burden I would relieve. Yet, even the asking is a burden of another kind.
What is
the
it?
memories of the birthing bell, the hollowborn, the mothers. Even knowing that my actions were righteous, necessary, their memory haunts me. I see reflections of the lives I could not save wherever we travel. And when I lie down to sleep, the dreams of empty children and blind eyes are more vivid still. Please, Watcher. I tried once to forget, and yet echoes still tormented my soul. But if you were to cleanse my soul of the memory, I could at last be free of it. Will you grant me this?
How will this affect you? Will you even be the same person?
I will be the same, only free of the memory. My allegiance, my skill, these will still be dedicated to our cause, to your aid.
There is no cause for you to live with this to live with this pain very well.
Thank you, Watcher.
As you reach into it, so you find the memory of the hollowborn at the birthing bell, like the jagged texture in her essence, probing the memory sharps edges. Even you feel her pain, yet you force yourself to seize it. You smooth away the razor edges snags, wearing them down even while they tear at you, carrying such pain inside us. Herself must have felt like living with a stomach full of broken glass. At last, the grieving by the soul is as smooth and even as a rolling meadow. You have removed all trace of the agonizing memory, and as you draw back, the pain recedes from you as well.
Shall we continue, Watcher? We have much to accomplish.
Farewell. And now, get the fuck out of my
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do? Top quality bear.
I did not think I will find someone worse than
I will wait in the place of your strength.
That concludes all companion
Yeah?
quests. So I was thinking, after I finish Pillars, I'm not just gonna focus on one game. I'm maybe gonna play various games, like Pillars 2, Dragon Age, and maybe Crisis or Mass Effect or something like that. That was the thought. That's closer. That's closer. You would. Let's go there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Stop there. Where do you think you're going? This area is under the control of the Torn Bannerman. Anyone else wanders in, they're not leaving again. For starters, I've got orders to put a sword through your gut if you don't turn around and run back home. Wait, Cadnua, you mean you're the one everyone's talking about? Saving orphans, fighting off bandits, all that?
Maybe you should take this up with the Crucible Knights. You may have heard about why Storm Predicts hold.
Look, hang on a second. Let's not get too...
Enough! The commander said no exceptions. I'm not ending up on a pike because this dog has you pissing your trousers.
Sorry, my lord. I'm sure the commander will take good care of Cadnua for you.
You are a funny one. Shit. It's all about the money. Okay.
I'll tinker with that. What could go wrong? All done. Curses! I'm blinder than a whorepox bat. That's it!
That's how it's done.
Yes, I want to check something. Oh. Okay.
Yeah? Sure.
Laying low. Shit. How bad?
Now it's done.
Cathedral makes himself or herself a conduit of power. Guy. Cost that twice. Let's keep that for later.
That's it. I'll teach.
Sure.
I'll see what I can find.
There we go.
Don't even there. Now.
Feeling the...
Just like an Eora to go down.
That looks like it hurt. That looks like it hurt. Sure.
These guys are not a loss, aka not weak.
Hey there.
I'll see what I can find.
Thank you.
Laying low.
I'll tinker with that. What could go wrong? I'll tinker with that. I can
What
do
could
that.
go wrong?
I'll tinker with that. What could go wrong?
Hey there.
Commander Baylor, proceed to Cragholdt with utmost haste. Council-Horde will not be willingly part with the Engwith and phylactery, but you must secure it. By any means necessary, be warned that the previous attempts at acquiring the artifact has been made with abject failure. We know very little about the phylactery, save that it is nearly indestructible within the mind. With that in mind, I would recommend using your considerable forces to lay siege to Cragholdt. Once Council-Horde is dead, you may retrieve the phylactery from the what remains of the tower. Delivery of the artifact is of primary charge, but definite proof of Council-Horde's demise shall entitle you to this substantial bonus. Spare no expense in fulfilling this task, but know that any outside interference will constitute a breach of this agreement. I have spent considerable resources to ensure that any local authorities will look the other way. Any overly cautious parties should be dealt with accordingly.
Nice and quiet.
Show him how it's done.
I am not understanding what's happening here. Busy losing my fucking shit. I'm losing my shit with this game now. I can't fucking wait for it to be finished.
Attack! Arctic words and rock!
run, kill a lot, and come back. What the fuck? What you fucking idiots do whatever the fuck you want.
And that's how it's done.
Show him how. Consumed.
You also have to enter unlock next step. I'm gonna go ahead. Go to the hunt. Raw damage over 10 seconds. Why did you get up the loss? Seeing that you like being on the fucking ground.
Hey there.
I shall be discreet.
Now this is interesting.
Okay. I think I'm gonna call it here, guys. Because this is gonna be a pretty long quest. First I have to clear the outside, and then I have to do the inside. The tower I think is multiple. I think it's 4 levels. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry that most of it was talking, but at least we are clear with all companion quests now. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day, guys.